Nanovor hacked.
Dana turned slowly to face Lucas and Drew. As much as he didn't want to, Lucas marveled at her avatar. The red cloak streamed from her shoulders, and her sinewy body looked coiled and ready to strike. Her black bodysuit turned to an angry red, her cloak turning deep reddish brown, the color of old blood. He gulped. Dana's avatar shifted with her mood in the nanosphere, and this didn't bode well. Her normally green eyes now glowed with a reddish light. Her alien beauty seemed more nanovor than human. Lucas and Drew retained their human figures with their avatars, only adding armor, while Dana's lengthening fangs made her look like a snake goddess. He looked over the landscape. They appeared to be in the middle of an arena, an area in the nanosphere where formal nanovor battles took place. That was good. If their nanovor died here, they would regenerate. Elsewhere in the nanosphere, they would risk losing them permanently. Drew was not distracted by Dana's beauty or power over the nanosphere. She was a girl of action as her hands crackled with energy. Her own nanovor, having heard the summons, appeared beside her. "Time to make the donuts," Drew said, and sent her nanovor at Dana's. Plasmalash, the six-legged nanovor sporting a large tentacle on its head. Tank Strider, the yellow armored vor that always reminded Lucas of a school bus of doom. And Plasmalocust, the thin, quick, six-legged blue vor, all rushed forward to engage Dana's nanovor, which were still attacking the firewall. Dana pulled the Megadoom and Doom Mantis off the firewall and put them in front of her to meet the assault. Drew punched Lucas in the arm. "Hello, did you make it in or are you stuck halfway? Remember the plan? Scary snake girl, must stop her." Lucas rubbed his arm. "Right, I was distracted. That's some impressive security." Drew made a disgusted noise. Lucas busied himself summoning his own nanovor. They appeared after a minute. His trusty storm spinner, the floating storm hunter, and another graceful plasmalash. He sent them at Dana's swarm. Dana didn't look scared at the six nanovor coming against her too. Behind her, the phase spiker still attacked the crystal wall, and the loud chimes were starting to sound distorted as the security weakened. "Lucas, what's the point?" she called. "You know you're too late. I'm going to get through and upload this information. And if you expose what I did, you will get in trouble for Madame Zeldara's data stealing. If you help me instead, I guarantee you'll win this science fair, and I can probably rig you winning state too." "Listen to yourself," yelled Drew. "Lucas doesn't want to win a rigged game." Lucas let them argue, concentrating on sending his Storm Hunter at Dana's Megadoom, the two exchanging blows. Drew sent her own Tank Strider, scuttling towards Dana's Doom Mantis for a straight-on headbutt. The crystal wall shuddered behind them and flickered once. Lucas pulled his Storm Hunter back a bit, his energy leash growing tight. He was trying to lure the Megadoom away from Dana. It followed and threw itself on the Storm Hunter, lashing out and cutting great hunks from his Nanovor. The Storm Hunter sputtered wetly and melted back into the nanosphere. Drew, we have to end this now. Go after the phase spiker. I'll take care of the other two. But you're down one. That's not important. The phase spiker is important. Drew nodded, then sent her Vor rushing past Dana to distract and take down the phase spiker. Dana's Nanovor still attacked the wall with single-minded intensity, resorting to body slamming it. The wall shook with each blast. Drew's plasma locust hit the phase spiker with a plasma blast, weakening it, as the plasma lash struck with a head whip. Dana's avatar glowed even brighter red, and even though Lucas knew they had the upper hand, he took 2 steps back, as she seemed to grow before him. It was an illusion, he figured, as she snapped back to her normal size and ran for the Yellow River a couple of steps away, dodging away from the crystal wall. She slipped a hand inside her cloak and brought out a tiny black snake. She whispered something to it and dropped it into the data stream, where it stood out starkly from the yellow data. "So what's that?" Lucas asked. "You can't have uploaded the info from here." Dana smirked. "You'll find out soon enough. You're not the only one who can turn a fight unfair." "Unfair? What do you mean? You're the one who hacked my science project." A squeal and squelch sounded from the battle, and they both turned to see Lucas's plasma lash finish whipping through the Doom Mantis's body with its tentacle. Lucas relaxed a little. Her Nanovor were falling. They'd have this one in a moment. Dana hissed and yanked on the leash attached to her phase spiker. It turned from attacking Drew's wounded plasma lash and launched itself at the wall. Unfortunately, it was that moment when Drew's tank strider came in for a headbutt and pushed the phase spiker further into the wall, crushing the Nanovor but putting its own momentum into the wall. The crystal wall flickered again and vanished. "There you two are. We've been looking for you," said a voice behind Lucas. He winced and turned around. Ben and Bulk Damage stood there, their avatars smiling, their Nanovor already summoned and waiting behind them like soldiers. Bulk Damage slammed his fist into his palm. Time for the second half. "Got your text, Dana," Ben said. "You didn't say you were getting double-teamed by some freshmen." Lucas looked impressed despite himself. "Dana, that snake was a text message? You can send text messages from inside the nanosphere? How?" Dana ignored him and snarled at Ben. "You weren't smart enough to catch them outside, but I thought you might be able to take care of them in the nanosphere if I handed them to you. Just keep them busy. I need to get this data uploaded." Dana was pleased to see Lucas lose his bravado when faced with Ben and Bulk. He gulped and tugged on his remaining 2 Nanovor to exit the battle with Dana's Megadoom. They reluctantly returned to his side. Dana considered sending her Megadoom after them, but she figured Ben and Bulk's 6 Nanovor against Lucas's 2 stacked the odds enough in her favor. But there was also Drew. Dana felt her last leash go slack as her Megadoom exploded in a messy torrent, the victim of an arc blast from Drew's sneaky plasma locust. She edged away. Ben sent his spike spine towards Lucas, but it was blown backward by another arc blast from Drew's plasma locust, which had dashed forward to put itself between Lucas and the approaching Nanovor. Spent, it rushed back and let Drew's plasma lash take its place beside Lucas's Nanovor. Drew, watch Bulk's Doomblade. Keep it away from the others, Lucas said, throwing his plasma lash in front of Ben's Gamma Fury. The two began to trade blows, and Lucas pushed his Storm Spinner in front of Bulk's Battle Kraken, preparing for the next round. Drew positioned her Nanovor to aid Lucas's, sending her plasma locust around to attack Ben and Bulk's Nanovor with plasma blasts, draining some of their strength. Unfortunately, she caught Lucas's plasma lash in the blast. Drew, Lucas yelled in annoyance. Collateral damage. Friendly fire happens. My bad, she said, reining in the plasma locust and instead pushing her plasma lash to attack Bulk's Doomblade with its wickedly swift tentacle. Next, her tank strider lumbered through the melee, slamming into enemy Nanovor, knocking some down. Bulk's Electro charged her tank strider, and the two hulking creatures stood there like garbage trucks facing off. Suddenly, they rushed each other, connecting with a loud blam that generated a pressure wave that knocked everyone down. Dana edged closer to the door the crystal wall had been guarding. Drew whipped her head around and spotted Dana, who finally took off at a run. Lucas, go after her. I can handle these guys, Drew yelled. Dana didn't wait to hear his response. She was through the door and down the hall before she knew what had happened in the battle. The hallway led to a room with multiple pools of water set into the floor like hot tubs. Dana peered at the data briefly and determined which one would hold Dr. Waits's files. Pulling snakes from her pockets, she dumped them into the data pools. Green, blue, black, and yellow snakes. All slithered and wriggled and swam in circles, starting their uploads. Text files and images and altered photographs that Dana had been saving for weeks, waiting to get an opportunity like this. Her father had told her about the early days of the internet with dial-up modems, and she hadn't believed anything could be that slow. She believed it now, waiting for the little snakes to slip deep into the pools. A couple dipped below the surface, but still continued to swim around in a circle. Oh, no freaking way you're getting away with that, Lucas yelled from the hallway. His storm spinner was with him, and he sent it charging toward her. Although it was unlike Nanovor to attack humans directly, one doesn't stare down a huge bug with a razor-sharp blade on its face. The storm spinner ran by her. It leaped into the data pool and darted around, its mandibles snaring the data snakes from the water and chopping them to pieces. No! Screamed Dana. But with no Nanovor at her call, she could only watch as Lucas's storm spinner splashed and sliced, kicking up the data pool until it was frothy. It submerged itself briefly and came back up, a black snake caught in its jaw. It was the largest and had the most important piece of information. the fact that Waits had stolen the perpetual motion machine schematics from her father. She watched mutely as the snake disappeared down the Nanovor's gullet and tried not to cry. All her plans ruined. The storm spinner lunged out of the pool and wandered over to where Lucas was studying the wall of the room, which looked like it was made of a crystal honeycomb. Dana got on her hands and knees and peered into the data pool, wondering if there was a way she could replicate the data. She glanced over at Lucas. He had his hand, fingers splayed, on one of the hexagons. He turned it briefly, and it clicked 3 times. "There," he said. The black snake had started to form again in her hands as she arranged the data into another uploadable file, but Lucas grabbed her arm. "No time for that. The firewall is coming back, and you don't want to be stuck in here when it does." The wall clicked twice more. The crystals along the wall turned from clear to yellow. "Lucas, you can't stop me. I have to do this," Dana cried. The wall clicked once. The crystals glowed red. Lucas ordered his Nanovor out of the room, pushed Dana out the door, and dove after her. "Run!" She finally understood. She didn't want to be caught in there when the crystal wall was reinstated. The crystal wall flickered ahead of them, causing the cave to go dark for an instant. "Oh no," Lucas said, picking up the pace. With a screech, the storm spinner leaped from the tunnel and skidded to a stop at the entrance. "It's blocking our way," yelled Dana. The storm spinner rose up to its full height. The wall flickered again. "No, under it," yelled Lucas, and he and Dana dove from the tunnel under the storm spinner as the wall became solid again. A nanosecond later, the storm spinner split in 2, the wall nearly cutting it in half. It fell off the wall and melted back into the nanosphere. Dana and Lucas lay on the grass, panting. Dana watched the half-formed black data snake disintegrate in front of her eyes. She heard a trumpet whoop. Drew was pumping her fist in the air, grinning, her 3 Nanovor by her side. Dana could barely make out Ben and Bulk beyond her, looking stunned. "Yeah," yelled Drew. "You run from the Battle Master. That's Battle Master. Learn it, live it, love it. That's right, boys. You battled a girl and lost." Dana closed her eyes again. Could it get any worse than this? Lucas came over to her and stood over her. "Are you okay?" Her eyes flew open, and she was on her feet in an instant, looking him in the eye. She clenched her fists. "Am I okay? I get a perfect chance to restore Daddy's job, and you ruin it. And what I don't get is that I was even helping you win the science fair at the same time. Now you might even get in trouble for saving that data. No, I'm pretty freaking far from okay." She could feel her control on her avatar slipping, as her words sounded more like hisses and her avatar glowed red. Lucas looked at her, then the ground. "Listen, Lucas, you just lost one of the biggest chances you ever had with me. My friendship, my connection with my father and Skylab's are..." She'd never get a chance to tell Lucas what they were, because a loud hiss sounded from the other side of the river, cutting her off. Dana had heard that hiss before. She wanted to break down the crystal wall and hide inside. She knew what that hiss meant. Then it spoke its own name.
Spydran.